Shalom. Welcome to the Messianic Hour with Rabbi Scott Sekulow. The Messianic Hour is a program designed to give you insight into the Jewish roots of your faith. Rabbi Scott is also here to answer your questions and help you gain a deeper understanding of Bible prophecy. And now, here's your host, Rabbi Scott Sekulow.
Welcome to another edition of the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. I'm here with my lovely wife, Judy. Say hello.
Hi.
And we bring from you, she's giving me this funny look, like, why did I do that?
I'm not quite sure why you asked me to say hi.
From a Jewish and Gentile perspective, our love of Messiah, and to really give a deeper understanding of the Scripture, we love to be able to share together and to come into your houses, your cars, your internet, and teach on the Jewish roots of our faith. I want to encourage you to go to our website, rabbiscott.com. There you can learn more about your Jewish faith. Also, I want to encourage you to join us at Congregation Beth Adonai here in Tucker, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. You can visit online or in person. We have Shabbat services every Saturday morning at our main campus and our new campus up in Flowery Branch up near Gainesville, Georgia. We have that on Friday nights at 7 o'clock. So go to the website for more information there as well. We'd love for you to join us. If you're not in the Atlanta area, you can always tune in through our live streaming. So check that out. And remember, too, we're going to be going to Israel June 9th through the 19th. I know, I can't wait.
I know Natalie's been talking about it, too, and it's
Natalie's
a great
our
time.
daughter, for those who might not know.
Yes, she
12-year-old daughter.
Yes, she is. So she'll be 13 at that time.
Yep.
So she's excited to go, too.
It'll be her third trip.
It will be. So it's a great time, and it is a child-friendly trip. I mean, I wouldn't take a 5-year-old, obviously, but an older preteen type age child.
Natalie would love that.
Yes. I mean, there's things that keep their interest there too. Yep. So
it's really neat too, because Natalie is her third trip, but she's even excited about going and learning and being a part of it, and so it's one of those trips that keeps people's attention. We want you to join us. We leave. It's round trip from Atlanta. It's $39.99. That includes all of your taxes, everything but your lunch daily and the tip for the guide and the driver. Everything else is included. We don't add little things here or there. Join us. If you're not in the Georgia area, you can fly into either Atlanta or meet us up in New York, or New Jersey, I should say, as we then fly over to there. And you can also get just a land package as well. So if you want more information, mail at rabbiscott.com.
And it is a wonderful trip. It's a long flight, so you
9.5 hours, not bad.
Well, it's not bad, but they have
TVs.
Movies, yes, and bring things to do. I usually bring all my magazines that I haven't been able to read and catch up, because I get so many, and I bring those and catch up. So, but it's a wonderful flight, and I really hope you go with us. We have a great tour guide, and we've worked really hard to make a great trip for you.
And we have not only a great trip, but we have a great show today. We're going to be talking to Carl Gallups, who wrote the book, The Rabbi Who Found Messiah. This is part 2 of the interview. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found, and we have a great show in store for you. This is part 2 of a series we're doing on the book, The Rabbi Who Knew Messiah, and that was written by Pastor Carl Gallups, and he is back with us to look at this very special rabbi and what's going on. Carl, why don't you just give us for those who might have not heard last week, give us a little quick, brief overview of what this book's about.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Rabbi Scott. God bless you. The Rabbi Who Found Messiah, that's the name of the book, and we're speaking of Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri. Just a quick overview of who he was and what the startling statements that he made, the prophecies. First of all, when he died in 2006, January 2006, he was 108 years old. He was revered, probably the most venerated rabbi in all of Israel's modern history. When he died in 2006, 300,000 people attended his funeral. They had to close the streets of Jerusalem down for a couple of days. His snippets of his funeral were reported around the world in mainstream media. This guy was not some obscure rabbi tucked away in the bowels of Jerusalem, but he was deeply connected to Israeli politics, Israeli prime ministers and presidents. The president of Israel gave the eulogy at his funeral. So that's who we're talking about, Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri. Now, in 2005, in the fall of 2005, just literally weeks before he died, he said two startling things, Rabbi Scott. Startling thing number one, he said, I have met the Messiah. I have had a vision of Messiah. I know who he is. I know what his name is, and I will reveal his name by leaving it in a note, which is to be opened 1 year after I am dead. Startling thing number two, he said, it has been revealed to me that this Messiah will come after Ariel Sharon has died. He will not come before Ariel Sharon has died. So he said those two startling things. The shocking thing is that when he said them, Ariel Sharon was still alive and well. He was the 11th prime minister of Israel. And, of course, Rabbi Kaduri was still alive, of course, and well. Even at 108 years old, he had no health problems at the time. But within 10 or 12 weeks, by January the 4th, Ariel Sharon, the prime minister, had suffered a massive stroke and went into a coma, which now we know would last 8 years and 7 days. Ariel Sharon would die January the 11th, 2014, on a Sabbath, on a Saturday. Yitzhak Kaduri, then, on January the 28th, 2006, just a few weeks after Sharon went in a coma, he got pneumonia and died on a Sabbath, January the 28th, on a Saturday. So both of them, in the same month of the same year, one went into a coma, the other died. And then, of course, January, February, March, April, right in there, the note was opened and it was posted. That was a year later, on 2007, January 2007. His note was opened and posted on his website, kaduri.net, by somebody within his organization. It was reported on by Israel Today out of Jerusalem, and it was reported on by News First Class. Now it's called News One out of Israel, Jerusalem. Both of those Israeli news organizations reported on the note, and the note was opened, and it was finally decoded. It took a little while before people understood that he had left a coded message, but when the note was decoded, it was revealed to the world that the name of Messiah that he had left, he said the name of Messiah was Yehoshua, the long version of Yeshua. Of course, we would say it in English as Jesus. It rocked the Jewish world. It shocked the Christian community. The Israeli media immediately shut it down. World media refused to report on it. To this day, they refuse to report on the fact that Ariel Sharon's death was tied to a striking prophecy by a striking man who made a striking revelation even in his death. That's the short of it, but now it is much more complex, as you know.
Well, and I want to encourage our listening audience, not only do you have the book is out, but you also have about an hour-long DVD. I'm showing it on our video right now, that you and Jonathan Kahn have put together, Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, a good friend of mine and yours as well, that you can use for your Bible studies, for home view. It's excellent. I really encourage you to get it. Kind of gives you an overview of the book, but also the importance of this, because you're not trying to prove one thing or another. I really love how you've done this. You really just are giving the facts. And so
yes, God bless you for making that observation. I wrote the book in a journalistic, objective format. Prior to being in the ministry for 30 years, I was in Florida law enforcement for 10 years. Several of those years.
I just lost him.
Mind, from a forensically investigative mind, and from a journalistic mind. I'm also somewhat of a journalist and a published author with some best-selling books. So I approached it that way. The book is not preachy. I don't stand on a soapbox. I'm not Kaduri's public relations officer.
Right.
I just report this story, but then I have a good time tying it all to Israeli politics and Israeli history and the Jewish mindset of Messiah, and even talk about the Islamic mindset, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a book you can put on your shelf and refer to for quite a while.
Absolutely, and it's, again, The Rabbi Who Found Messiah. You go to Amazon, Messianic Jewish Resources and get this book. But I'm going to play devil's advocate. We got about 5 minutes left in this segment, and then we're going to go into the next one. Because there's going to be people that say, because some have come out after the event. His son, who initially said that it was authentic, then changed his mind. Others in it, and you do a great balance of this. You show also Jewish people who were under Rabbi Kador. That he did say this and did proclaim it. So you do a great job. But I'm going to kind of play the devil's advocate to kind of answer those questions.
Yes.
When was this letter first mentioned? Where do we know that where he said, "I'm not going to reveal it till after my death"? What is your knowledge of that?
Yeah, my knowledge of that, and I record this in the book. There are some sources, documented sources, that say that he made this pronouncement to his followers and even some of his closest followers just before a Yom Kippur service, which would have been October 13th, I think, 2005. There are other sources that say that he also reiterated that in the Yom Kippur service. So the best and the most accurate I can answer that, Rabbi Scott, is because I wasn't there when he did it, right. But from everything that I can uncover and document, sometime in the late fall of 2005, he made this pronouncement at least on one occasion and perhaps several occasions. So,
listening audience, so you understand this was done again before his death. It was not something that was brought out afterwards. We have two events in which he's saying, this is what I'm going to do. Again, at the time, both he was healthy and Prime Minister Sharon. So we know that. Now, it passes. People are waiting. Like you said, it was mentioned. Who put it on? It was then revealed on his website. So it had to be someone who within his organization who had the letter and they posted it. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's still a great mystery as to exactly who, and I don't know that we'll ever find out, because obviously it would have had to have been put on by somebody within his own organization who had the codes to get in, and or at least approved by his organization once it was up. I mean, even if somebody hacked into his website and put it up, they didn't just put a note up, there was a story about it. And so it wasn't just a note and a story, but obviously they approved of it. And as I point out in the book and the movie, it was on his website until the note was decoded and it was determined that the name he left was Yeshua. Then is when it disappeared, which of course my law enforcement mind makes me think that that's kind of an indication of the fact that they are the ones that put it there. They knew it was there, but once they saw the message, they didn't like it, so they took it down and then started a disinformation campaign.
We got just under 2 minutes left in the segment, so I got a quick question. How long was it on there for? So we're saying it went up. It had to be again decoded. It wasn't just he didn't just write Yeshua. He wrote, a letter. They had to decode it. So how long are we talking that it was up for?
Again, we don't know exactly. However, Israel Today was reporting on it in April of 2007. Of course, the 1-year anniversary was January of 2007. So assuming that they put it up shortly after the anniversary date, it would have been up there for several months. So my best guess is several weeks to several months. And the reason we don't know the exacting dates and exactly who put it up is because the Kaduri organization is not giving up any of that information at this point, because they're trying to deny the legitimacy of the note. But the problem is, as you pointed out, so many of his followers already knew about it before he died, and it was on the website, and Israeli news sources were reporting about it. So it's quite a conflagration there.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to continue this after the break. I want to again encourage our listening audience, go to our website, rabbiscott.com. There you can sign up for our newsletter. Within our newsletter, you'll be able to have a link to how to purchase it. We always try to support those who come on our show. We don't ask you to send it to us. It goes right to them. They get 100% of the of it. You can get it on Amazon and other websites as well. But go to rabbiscott.com, sign up for our newsletter. We'll have a link to their site for this as well. When we get back, we'll be continuing this conversation. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. I also want to encourage you to go to our website, learn more about our upcoming trip to Israel, June 9th through the 19th. It is a great trip, and if you want more information, you can mail us at mail@rabbiscott.com, and we'll send that to you. And we would love to have you on there. We got about 25-plus people coming on this trip in June. It'll be a great time, and we actually will be able to go and see the gravesite of where this great rabbi is. He was a Jewish rabbi, into Kabbalah, so into Jewish mysticism. So you might say, well, why would God reveal it to him? Well, why would God reveal himself to Rabbi Shaul as well? You know, we see this. We understand how it comes about. Here is a well-respected Jewish rabbi, had over 300,000 people to his funeral, and yet he had a vision of Messiah, and he then proclaims it through a letter that is revealed 1 year after his death. And Carl, I mean, like you said, you know, so we knew the letter was going to be there beforehand. The letter shows up on their website, not someone else's website, a website that they control. It was on there for several months, weeks to months. We don't know the exact time until they were able to decode it. Once they figured out what was the name, then they took it out. Now, who figured out the name, and where does that part come in?
Yeah, well, I don't know, again, if a particular person figured it out or not, but if I may share with your audience, here's what the note said, and here's how it was figured out. I'm sure people within his own organization figured it out. Probably some Messianic Jews who knew Hebrew, probably they figured it out. But about the time that it was being reported, oh my gosh, go to his website, look at the note, and do this one thing, and you will see the name of the Messiah. That's when the note all of a sudden was taken down and the disinformation campaign started. But the note said, what it said, it was in Hebrew, of course, but in English it said, concerning the letter abbreviation of his name, and of course we know he was revealing the Messiah, and it just said, it had a comma after that, and it said, he shall lift his people and prove that the word and the law are true, or are valid. Well, that was not a revelation of his name, at least in the surface note, and so I think his followers in his organization put it up there thinking, well, it's just kind of a rather innocuous note. It's the attributes of the Messiah, no harm, no foul. So they put it up there. But the problem was that Kaduri had been teaching in his yeshiva for several years that the name of Messiah was Yeshua. We know that because several of his students have gone on film. You saw that in the video that you watched.
Right.
And they testified. In fact, several of them have said that they gave their lives to Yeshua as Christ and Lord because of what Kaduri was teaching. But now this note is up there, and it just says this sentence. But people got to thinking, they said, you know, he said he was going to leave the name of Messiah. And they looked at that first part again, Rabbi Scott, and it said, concerning the letter abbreviation of his name. And then it hit them. He has left Messiah's name in a code, and it is the first letter of each of the remaining 6 Hebrew words in that sentence, where it says, he shall lift his people and prove that the word and law are valid. That's a bunch of English words, but it only took 6 Hebrew words to say that.
Right.
So they took the 6 Hebrew letters from each of those 6 words, the beginning letter of each of those 6 Hebrew words, and it spelled out perfectly in Hebrew, Yehoshua, as I said, which is the long form of Yeshua, which is Jesus. And that's when the furor began, once people saw that that's what it was. Now, even his own organization, even David Kaduri, his son, he does not deny that that is the proper decoding of the note, and that is what it says. What they deny is, once they found out what it said, now they say, well, my dad didn't write that note. He wouldn't have done that. He couldn't have done that. That note has to be some kind of a cruel joke. And then they took it down. They destroyed the note by information that I got right out of Israel, destroyed it completely so it could never be forensically examined, apparently. And so that's when the furor began, Rabbi Scott.
Now, you brought up a question, and I want to throw this out. So do we know who had the note from the time of whenever he wrote it, to the revealing of it? Who was in possession of the note that was put up there then?
Well, the reports that we got, the reports that I have in the book, the documentation we got was that he left instructions with his people, his organization. I'm assuming his son and some of the closest ones, I would assume. I don't know that they'll ever admit that, but
right.
I mean, his son, David Kaduri, was the one who would follow him and who is now running that organization. I don't know that he said, I'm giving it to a certain person, but his instructions were that it would be under lock and key, sealed away until 1 year after his death. And again, 1 year after his death, sure enough, a note appeared with a story about it on his own website. And that's when Israel Today reported on it and News First Class. So again, there's a lot of mystery as to the exact person who had the note, who posted the note, who pulled the note off. I don't know that we will ever find out those answers, but we do know that he said he was writing a note. We do know he said it was to be revealed 1 year later. We do know that 1 year later it appeared, and as you said, not on someone else's website, but on his own website. And we do know that it stayed there for a while until it was being reported that the note said Yeshua was the name of Messiah. Then it was pulled, and as I said, Israeli media reported on it.
I want to encourage our listening audience. It is a great book. It's a great video. You need to go check this out. It's The Rabbi Who Found Messiah. Google it. You'll be able to get it. It is a great book, great video. I encourage you to we're going to be showing it at our congregation because it is just, it's fascinating to see. You know, there's times, and I'm one of those people, when I hear these type of things, I'm very skeptical. I remember when this came out, the situation, but, you know, it's not like, this is not a conspiracy theory. It was on their own website. It wasn't on another website. It was up for a while. You know, people outside of the ones who would deny it, there's other ones saying, no, he clearly did say it, and these were his students. Why would his students be able to gain anything by saying this? This is absolutely amazing, because it literally changes, you know, the role, the idea of the Jewish people. We had a friend of ours who was a Orthodox Jewish man who was just in town here in Atlanta, who was visiting, and I asked him about this rabbi, and this situation, and to be honest, he kind of went, oh, and just didn't talk, switched the subject on us, wouldn't talk about it. And
Rabbi Scott, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, go.
I'm sorry, we've got a little delay. I was going to just say, no, this is what I have discovered, too, in talking to Orthodox Jewish rabbis. In fact, I tried to interview several for my book, and I assured them that I was doing it from a journalistic approach and would not, would not disparage the Jewish faith in any way. I never have done that, and I never would. And they wouldn't talk to me about it. They knew the story, but they didn't deny it. They just would not talk about it. And so, yeah, the reaction from the Orthodox Jewish community to the book and the movie is still one of angst and backlash, because they don't know what to do with this story. But it's like you said, Rabbi Scott, I want to emphasize, I too was skeptical. I approached this with a skeptical eye. I got involved in this back in 2007 when it was in Israel Today and it was being reported. When I first read the story, I thought, well, there's probably nothing to it. But as I kept reading it and then started investigating and started doing my own research, I discovered that the story was true. Now, you know, whether or not he actually had this vision, only he and the Lord know that. But the story is true, and students from his own yeshiva have testified to it on film. And it was on his website, and these organizations, these Jewish news organizations, did report on it. So they did interview some of his followers. They interviewed David Kaduri. So the story is true, and it's shocking. And now, with the death of Ariel Sharon, it is still unfolding.
Again, I want to encourage our listening audience, go get this. I mean, we're history in the making. It's 8 years later, Sharon passes away. This is one of the signs that this rabbi said, that he had to pass away. Go check that out. Again, it's The Rabbi Who Found Messiah. I want to encourage you to go get that. Go to our website, rabbiscott.com, for more information. Sign up for our newsletter. And until next week, this is Rabbi Scott saying shalom and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.